Hello everybody, this is the Gabe Newell. Today, which is about a day after my Dreamcast review goes up, I'm actually going to be doing another review, and this is going to be I'm just kind of doing a Dreamcast review in general of all the things about it. But here is a review of the Sega Dreamcast controller, which has no specific actual name. But as you can see right here, you've got the controller with the wire. This is a wired controller because I don't think they had wireless controllers for it at the time. So this is a controller right here. And as you can look, it's pretty bulky to say the least, because you've got the two slots that top load for the memory cards and visual memory units and the megas and stuff. So you've got the controller right here, and right here I could show you the button layout for it, which is you've got Dreamcast logo here. This right here is for a memory card or a visual memory unit like this, so that you can see the screen on the visual memory unit. If I can slide it in like that, and then that will turn on when the console turns on. I'll be giving this a full review later on anyway, after I buy batteries for it, by the way. So enough about that. So now you got the controller here, so you have the screen, the logo, you've got a start button right here in the middle, very low to the bottom of the controller, so it's kind of uncomfortable to reach, honestly, from these four face buttons to the thumb, but it's okay. And the start button does feel good. It feels very solid, strong, and feels like you're clicking. It doesn't feel faux or anything. So anyway, now that we've gotten that, we can show you the D-pad down here, which is, I would give it an average, because it does what it does, but it feels kind of rough and jagged, and honestly, it does diagonals there, but I don't think it detects a lot of diagonal movement, and I honestly just think it's only average. And it's got a little gap right there in the middle, but it's only average, especially compared to Nintendo's, but it's better than, say, Microsoft's D-pads usually. So right here you've also got something that was very nice for its time, but had already been done on the PlayStation, was the analog stick. But the only problem I have with this controller and the Dreamcast in general is that the controller only has one analog stick, which makes maneuvering the camera in third-person games a really difficult time. It makes it so you pretty much have to use the D-pad or move your character around until the camera focuses to where you want it to go, which I think is really frustrating, especially on games like Sonic Adventure or even Shenmue. Like, I would want to play Shenmue and rotate the camera around the character instead of it just being locked onto his back. But I guess it's okay for its time, especially considering that the controller does have things that other consoles didn't. It had triggers, and the triggers feel fairly well. They're very much like the Xbox 360, as the entire controller is in general. But you've got these triggers that they feel very good. They feel fairly well, except it feels like they should press down a little bit more, and they don't. So I think the amount of push they have is a little too light, especially if you're playing a racing game, because I think a racing game should have it pushed down a little bit more. Like, instead of going down to here, it should go down to like here, maybe like a little bit lower. Not too much, but a little bit. And the sound of it actually clicking, it sounds like the Xbox 360's analog sticks when they do something like this. That's also very frustrating. Sorry about that. But it does have a left and right trigger right on the next sides here. As you can see, there's also four face buttons, which is just like the Xbox, because A, B, X, and Y. And that's probably one of the biggest similarities, besides the layout in general, because as you can see, face buttons in the upper right, analog stick upper left, D-pad up lower left, and then lower right. I wish there was an analog stick, but there's not. And then as you can see, if we turn it to the side, it's very much got a curved architecture, which I'm just going to grab my Xbox 360 controller and show you that up, down, if you looked at them, they are very, very similar in architecture, except for the fact that the Xbox 360 controller is definitely shorter, because there's just like a perfect like diametered circle right there, and this has no indents except for the sides. But the side of it, you can easily tell the sides of it are very much alike in the shape, except this one's a little more jagged at the end and less curved, but is definitely a little bit wider in a sense. And then back here, you will see that it's actually kind of like a flat panel. It looks like a jet ski kind of thing. Like, it looks like you can ride this thing on the water like a jet ski, like anyway. But it does feel nice in your hands, and I don't think it necessarily feels as nice as the Xbox 360 controller, but it does feel really nice. And another feature, something that was weird about the controller when I first got it, especially, was the fact that the wire came out of the bottom, and I thought that would be really pesky, just because it's annoying to deal with that wire. But what I noticed on the back here is there is an indent, there's a gap right here with two little pieces of plastic right there and there, just kind of little rectangular pieces. And what they do is they allow you to pull the wire over the back of the controller, or run it upwards the controller from the back, and you can click it into place. Not exactly a satisfying click sound, mind you, but it clicks into place there, and you can play your game. You can play the game, well, not well with the cord tied up like this, but you can play the game like this, as if it's like an Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 or any other controller. So it does technically run through the top, but it is plugged in technically to the bottom. And the best part about it might be the fact that it does make the controller more portable and easier to take places, besides the fact that it's got really good grooving on the back and how smooth it feels, and how it feels very edgedly curved, but in a good way that works for the controls. And one of the best things about that is that this gap right here does not affect these in any way. It's got perfect plastic space that feels solid. And probably the one last thing about this controller I'll say, besides how well it handles, because it holds really well, is that the analog stick feels fantastic. As you can see, it's very long and thin at the top, but it's made of a sturdy plastic that doesn't pop up. When it pops up, it stays down, instead of the Xbox controllers, where it will click up like... It'll like click up and then go push down more. Maybe you can't see it, but it pushes down before it clicks if you pull it up again, and it kind of annoys me. But this is very solid, and it doesn't, and it's somehow rubberized on the inside, so that, well, with the paint and gloss, it's rubberized on the inner running, so that it's a lot thinner there, yet it still makes very little sound when you move it, which is nice. I think it's actually very good. I wish it were a little better than the Xbox 360s, but unfortunately it's not. But the last thing I love about it is that it feels solid. Like, when I'm playing a game, I feel like I can throw this thing at a wall, and I can when I'm mad at a game, I can grip this thing hard, and I can hear the creaking in a little bit, but it's not the biggest thing I hear. I can really give it a beating, and it still feels sturdy, just like the Dreamcast console itself. And if I had to rate this controller, I think I would give it an 8.5 out of 10, and the only other controller I prefer is the Xbox 360, which I would give like a 9 out of 10. Alright, so that's the end of this video. So, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. See ya!